Anyways, final hand now. Ace King offsuit again, blind versus blind. Hopefully this isn't like the same hand. No, it's not. Okay. We raise it up. We get called by the big blind. Didn't have any real reads on the big blind at the time. 6, 7, 10, rainbow. Oh, he was fishy, actually. What am I saying? Yeah, he was kind of loose, fishy, probably like a 30, 10 or something like that. Not a huge sample, though. Going right back into continuation betting. I have a backdoor nut flush draw, 2 overs. I have the initiative. Yeah, he might hit this board sometimes, but gives me the option to double barrel. All the good stuff I talked about before. So I see bet again. We get called. Turn is Jack of Clubs. It's kind of a connected card. You know, Jack 10 got there. Some type of like Jack 8 or Jack 9, which would peel the flop, got there. Should this be a turn bet, though? I think the answer is absolutely. Bet 20 into 28. So I'm going to pull, where the heck is it? My good friend. This is a website, FPP Pro. This is great. A little handy fold equity calculator. So we'll just run the equity. We'll just run the what this basically will tell us is how often does my turn bluff, given my hand, have to work for it to break even. So obviously things aren't perfect because I have no idea what his hand is, but we'll just give him. Usually what I try to do when I compute ranges like this is I try to come up with a hand that I think will be an approximation for what my overall equity is here. So the hand that I'm going to give him is Queen 10 of clubs. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he's got a pair. I need to hit to win. My ace and my king are still good, but he has a blocker on my gut shot, which is kind of like, you know, this is probably how I'm doing against his range when I call it. I'm going to have about 20%, we'll call it. That's give or take, you know? So estimated equity is 20%, and there's $28 in the pot. So we'll find out whether or not this is a good turn bet, or we'll find out how often it has to work. We get, 19% of the time, which is like, I think that one of the reasons people have trouble barreling in these spots is because they don't understand maybe how infrequently some of their bluffs have to work. So, I mean, 20% of the time, I mean, if he's folding less than 20% of the time here, I'm probably value betting with ace high, man. I mean, so I think I'm putting tons of pressure on all of his weak 6, 7x hands, his random floats, even his 10x hands. I'm putting a lot of pressure on. And again, it gives me the option to bluff the river, which is my plan here if he calls. I'm going to fire the river because a lot of flush draws will peel the turn. Hands like 7, 8, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, 9, 10, 6, 8, all that kind of stuff. Even though he will have some jacks and some 10s and some 2 pairs and some soul played straights and those types of hands. I'm going to bet the turn. I'm just going to plan on firing a lot of rivers, trying to get him off those hands. And besides, I have 20% equity, give or take, one call too. So here's where the hand kind of gets, in my opinion, a little not so sure about it on the 9 of spades. I'll try and run through my thought process. Obviously I bet the river. I bet 48 into 68, so that's work about 40% of the time. Again, a little under full pot bet. That'll work about 40%. So the question is, though, what hands am I trying to get him off of? Do I ever think he will? So the question that I should be asking myself, obviously he's not folding a straight, so let's just get that out of the way. So I don't even care if he has a straight. He's not folding it. The question really is, what does he do with 2 pair on this river? Is there any combo of 2 pair that he folds? My read was that he was kind of fishy station free. So I think it's, you know, I honestly think it's kind of unlikely that he folds like 7-9 or that he folds 9-10. The 1 pair hands that he can get here with are like, well, Queen 10, King 10, and Ace 10. Relatively speaking, there's not that many combos of those. There's not that many combos of flush draws that totally bricked here. I mean, they all have like a straight or something usually. So the question is, I'm getting good odds on the bluff, but do I ever think he folds 2 pair to a bet? For this amount, I think the answer is probably no. I think I prefer a larger bet on the river, trying to rep a straight better, or trying to just, you know, even if I'm not quote unquote repping a straight better, I'm just applying more pressure to the weaker hands in his range. I think that if the river was a deuce, I'd feel better about bluffing this river actually. And if you want to make the argument like, oh, he's never going to fold a 10 or he's never going to fold a pair if you bet a brick river, then I would suggest trying to overbet bluff occasionally. So I bet he calls, and hit ace 10s, kind of, you could make the argument like, oh, well, this is a horrible call by him, and it's probably like pretty much the bottom of his range that he gets to the river with. But none of that matters, of course. It's more of an issue of like he's gonna have too many combos of 2-pair, too many straights, and things like that. And I just don't think he folds for a $48 bet. So I think I'm kind of burning money here when I bet 48. I'd rather just see myself check give up or put a nice manly pot size bet or something like that. Really put some pressure on him. I think I'd get ace-10 to fold for a pot size bet probably. Might even get like 7-9 to muck his hand occasionally. But so I think check folding the 9 river's best. I think bluffing brick rivers is good here, and I think that if I were to bluff the 9 river, I'd probably rather bet closer to pot.